Okay, Danielle, first question.
Good morning, Penny.
Hey, good morning.
First up, how is Alo doing, and do you think he'll be available on Sunday?
Alo's doing much better. Let me say that first. He's not in a boot. He wasn't in a boot. Today he was walking around. He still has a noticeable limp, so still questionable right now. I don't know what can happen within the next couple of days, but right now he has a noticeable limp. And just happy to see him in a sneaker and walking around, though.
And then second of all, when you're playing a team like Houston that only has 3 losses on the year, do you put more emphasis on going back and watching those losses and kind of seeing what the other teams did well and what their weaknesses were, or does that not necessarily come into play?
No, it definitely comes into play, but if you know the Houston Cougars, you know what it takes to beat them. And every team besides pretty much Tulsa played zone the entire game, but they were very physical on the offensive end. They kind of got the things that they needed to get to make them successful to win. Wichita and Tulsa, no, it was Wichita, Tulsa, and who's the third team? Oh, ECU. They just master physicality. You have got to master physicality. You got to rebound, you got to box out, and you got to be tough and strong with the ball because they overhelp. They come very strong, they come physical, and it's just that game. But I did watch those games, and it's the same thing. You got to match their intensity and their physicality.
Cassie?
Penny, at the beginning of the season, after every game, you kind of talked about how players wanted to show out on TV or kind of do it themselves. And then after South Florida, you mentioned how you felt like they were finally playing as a team. When did you see that change? Was it a specific moment, or how did that develop over the season?
I think it just really developed over the 3 weeks that we were off this last COVID break, to be very honest with you, because we still had a couple situations going on where we weren't really staying strong together on the offensive end, and we had some mishaps because we weren't making an extra pass. And being off for 3 weeks and getting into group chats and, you know, doing FaceTime calls and things of that nature and trying to get the boys to kind of refocus on what we were trying to do and to commit themselves to being a team and not individuals. And I think during that break, they kind of got closer and bonded together and came out of that break ready to play basketball as a team.
Terry?
Hey, what's up, Penny?
What's going on, Terry?
Hey, I know you laser focused on the season right now, but in about 3 or 4 weeks, you know, a lot of these national teams going to be getting ready to go for the Olympics. I know you got a couple players on your team that might be up. So are you encouraging those guys to try to go play for the national team, Musa, Lester, and even Precious? And what was your experience like, you know, playing for your team and getting that honor with your medals?
Yeah, I definitely, because that's a great honor to play for your country. It's an awesome time because you're there with other Olympic athletes. You get a chance to see different athletes be the best at what they do, and to be able to represent your country is, you know, that's the best feeling in the world. For me, it was great because we were in Atlanta during the Olympics, and it was very close to home, and I had a lot of family and friends there to experience that with me, that situation, and it's a beautiful thing. If you get chosen to go, then you should definitely go and represent.
Danielle?
Are you trying to take all of this hype around the Houston game and capitalize on it and use it, you know, as a message when you're talking to your team, or are you trying to downplay it to make sure that, you know, nerves and emotions don't come into play?
No, I mean, the team is fully aware of what's going on and what's at stake. So if the nerves are there, they're already there, you know, before you say anything. But in my practices, we're making things aware, like the obvious things aware. And if that makes you nervous, then this isn't the game for you. So for us, we know we have to box out. We know we have to get back in transition, and we know they have great guard play as well. So everything in practice is focused on Houston. We know it's a big game. We know what we have to do. We know what we have to, the mindset we have to have going in that game, and we're preaching that every second while we're in that building. And I mean, in that gym. And if that bothers guys, that makes them a little bit more nervous, then hopefully the jitters won't last for long.
Jason?
Hey, Penny, do you know like what the attendance, I mean, you know, Texas has lifted their restrictions and all that stuff. Have you heard anything about whether there's going to be any more people allowed at the game?
I don't know that, but if they've lifted the ban, I'm sure they're going to try to have a home court advantage. It wouldn't shock me if the place was packed. I'm sure their fans have been wanting to come to the games all year and haven't been able to, but if they've lifted this ban, maybe they open a game. I don't know what the commissioner says about that, but maybe they try to open the arena up to the public. So I would not be shocked to go in there and have a full court. I mean, a full building with what's at stake.
So if that happens, if that's the way it plays out, I mean, have you thought about that? Like, it'll be the first time in almost a year since you guys have played in front of more than just a couple of thousand. If that's the way it goes.
If it plays out that way, it'll be an amazing atmosphere. It'll be a little scary as well because you got all these people in there. Hopefully they'll all have masks, but if they lift the mask mandate, then it's going to be weird. But it'll be a tough environment, a much more tough environment. And I have thought about it when they lifted the ban on the mask, if that would happen. So I'm definitely prepared, and I've already talked to the guys about that possibly happening as well.
Terry?
Coach, when you prepare for Houston, do your game plan mostly concentrates on what you guys do best, or trying to take away what Houston does best?
Both. We spend an ample amount of time on both. We know that we have to do some things ourselves because of how they play on our offensive end, and we got to do things to them that we want to make them do on the defensive end. So we work on both.
Clayton?
Coach, there's been some talk about this being the biggest game of your career as a head coach. Would you agree with that? And if so, how do you also manage that going in, just in terms of the meaning behind this one?
I don't know if this is the biggest game of my career yet, but it's up there. I mean, to me, the Tennessee game was number one. That win. This game is big because of what lies ahead. So if that pressure comes with it, then so be it. But I didn't look at this as the biggest game of my career yet. This is still regular season, and I know that if we go in there and win, and it puts us in the conversation of NCAA, I want this win more than anybody. But if it's pressure, then okay, that's fine with me because I do want to go in there and win. But you got to win big games on the road. I want to be a coach that's known for winning big games on the road. So, we'll see what happens Sunday.
Jeff?
Yeah, hey, Penny, you've obviously spoken about your high regard for Kelvin Sampson many times. You also said that his crying is what got this game switched. How do those two things intersect?
I did. I said that. He's crying.
Yeah, well, you told Woloshin that you said he cried enough that he got the game.
No, I was saying that the entire the university, not Coach Sampson himself.
Okay.
Probably. I think I meant it that way. I think that they fought so hard.
Houston cried. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that
you don't hold that against him. You don't hold that against him. You take it. I mean,
he did what he had to do because the rules of the game were, if you lose a game due to COVID, then the team that had the COVID has to give their game up, and I'm fine with that. It's just we had enough time to do the makeup. So right. I'm not mad at them for doing that. The commissioner, to me, could have handled this way differently, but they did what they had to do. I would fight like hell to have it on my home court as well. And if I could get away with it, then I would, and they did.
Thanks, Penny. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for the time, everybody.